At the United Nations headquarters in New York that you see behind me, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will, in a short while from now, address the Climate Action Summit being convened by the United Nations Secretary General. He will be among the early speakers to take to the podium. Prime Minister will present India's body of work in the fight against climate change and outline India's expectations from the world insofar as fighting this grave challenge to humanity is concerned. Prime Minister's address could well be the next step after India took a leadership position through an initiative like the International Solar Alliance and Prime Minister's clarion call to say no to single-use plastic. With cameraman Loknath and Praveen Johar in New York, Munmun Bhattacharya for DD India.
So let's turn to our guests once again in the studio. Mr. Hem Pandey, former Special Secretary from the Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change, and Yogendra Kumar, a former senior diplomat, both well versed with the matters, with the discussions on climate change and their negotiations. Ambassador Kumar, let's talk about what the Prime Minister is likely to speak about, because there's plenty that he can speak about. But one of the things that perhaps India has made efforts to change the way we think, not only with Swachh Bharat, with the way there are rules that have been put in place for waste management, for instance. All these things are extremely important because we are not managing a small country. We are managing 1.3 billion people and their lifestyles. And not that, the people were not in tune with nature earlier, but we had taken a few things for granted. Now we know also that perhaps single-use plastic, that extremely important message, is also going to come forward from, Mahatma Gandhi's 150th birthday on the 2nd of October.
Well, I think the Prime Minister gave a little glimpse as to what he's going to say today in his speech yesterday in Houston. And you quite rightly mentioned that we are conscious at the leadership level that both environment and climate change actually, they go hand in hand. And there's a feedback. It can be a positive feedback, it can be a negative feedback. So all the things that
Mr. Kumar, let's go across live to the conference itself.
See Antonio Guterres.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, nature is angry, and we fool ourselves if we think we can fool nature, because nature always strikes back, and around the world, nature is striking back with fury. Consider the last few months. July, the hottest months ever. June through August, the hottest summer in the Northern Hemisphere ever, and the second hottest winter in the Southern Hemisphere ever. The years 2015 to 2019, the 5 hottest year on the books ever. Our warming Earth is issuing a chilling cry: stop. If we don't urgently change our ways of life, you jeopardize life itself. Look around. Seas are rising and oceans are acidifying. Glaciers are melting and corals are bleaching. Droughts are spreading and wildfires are burning. Deserts are expanding and access to water is dwindling. Heat waves are scorching and natural disasters are multiplying. Storms everywhere are more intense, more frequent, more deadly. I've seen it with my own eyes, from Dominica to the Sahel to the South Pacific. In May, I went to the island nation of Tuvalu, where I witnessed an entire country fighting for its very existence against the rising seas. 2 months ago, I visited Mozambique, which was pummeled by unprecedented back-to-back cyclones. A few days ago, I was in the Bahamas, where Hurricane Dorian pounded the country for 2 unrelenting days. The destruction was not simply appalling, it was apocalyptic. Make no mistake, when we see those images, we are not just seeing damage, we are seeing the future if we do not act now. Dear friends, someone asked me the other day, doesn't all of this make you despair? My answer was a clear and resounding no. I am hopeful. And I am hopeful because of you. This is not a climate talk summit. We have had enough talk. This is not a climate negotiating summit, because we don't negotiate with nature. This is a climate action summit. From the beginning, I said the ticket to entry is not a beautiful speech, but concrete action. And you are here with commitments. Governments are here to show you are serious about enhancing nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. Cities and businesses are here showing what leadership looks like, investing in a green future. Financial actors are here to scale up action and deploy resources in fundamentally new and meaningful ways. And coalitions are here with partnerships and initiatives to move us closer to a resilient, carbon-neutral world by 2050. I'm very grateful to the leaders and members of the 9 wide-ranging coalitions that worked with great creativity and passion so that we can all get the most out of this summit. And young people, above all, young people are here providing solutions, insisting on accountability and demanding urgent action. They are right. My generation has failed in its responsibility to protect our planet. That must change. The climate emergency is a race we are losing, but it is a race we can win. The climate crisis is caused by us, and the solutions must come from us. We have the tools. Technology is on our side. Readily available technological substitutions already exist for more than 70% of today's emissions. And we have the roadmap, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on climate change. And we have the imperative, undeniable, irrefutable science. The best science, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, tells us that any temperature rise about 1.5 degrees will lead to major and irreversible damage to the ecosystems that support us. But science also tells us it is not too late. We can do it. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees is still possible. But it will require fundamental transformations in all aspects of society. How we grow food, use land, fuel our transport, and power our economies. We need to link climate change to a new model of development, a fair globalization, with less suffering, more justice and harmony between people and planet. Dear friends, there is a cost to everything, but the biggest cost is doing nothing. The biggest cost is subsidizing a dying fossil fuel industry, building more and more coal power plants, and denying what is plain as day, that we are in a deep climate hole, and to get out, we must first stop digging. After all, it is common sense to give is it common sense to give trillions in hard-earned taxpayers' money to the fossil fuel industry to boost hurricanes, spread tropical diseases, and heighten conflict? Is it common sense to build ever more coal plants that are choking our future? Is it common sense to reward pollution that kills millions with dirty air and makes it dangerous for people in cities around the world to sometimes even venture out of their homes? It is time to shift taxes from salaries to carbon and to tax pollution, not people. Chers amis, la communauté scientifique ne cesse de nous rappeler. Nous devons à tout prix réduire les émissions de gaz à effet de serre de 45% d'ici à 2030, atteindre la neutralité carbone d'ici 2050 et limiter la hausse de la température globale à 1,5 degrés Celsius d'ici à la fin du siècle. Une accélération forte des financements climatiques est donc nécessaire. Il est ainsi indispensable de reconstituer les ressources du Fonds vert pour le climat, tout comme il est essentiel que les pays développés respectent l'engagement pris de mobiliser d'ici 2020 100 milliards de dollars par an de fonds publics et privés afin de soutenir les pays en développement dans leurs efforts d'atténuation et d'adaptation. Car même si l'on réussit à baisser les émissions, les effets dramatiques du changement climatique sont déjà là et l'adaptation est donc devenue une priorité absolue et une condition essentielle pour augmenter la résilience des pays et des communautés et éviter la souffrance humaine. Je remercie les pays qui ont d'ores et déjà augmenté leurs engagements, en particulier ceux qui ont doublé leur contribution au Fonds vert pour le climat. J'en appelle à votre audace. Avançons vers une transformation planétaire de la finance, une finance compatible avec un monde neutre en carbone. Chers amis, ce sommet n'est pas censé résoudre tous nos problèmes du jour au lendemain, mais il doit donner l'élan nécessaire pour activement mettre en œuvre les objectifs des accords de Paris. La dynamique créée ici aujourd'hui doit guider nos prochaines rencontres. La conférence des Nations Unies sur le climat qui aura lieu en décembre au Chili et l'année prochaine, la conférence sur le transport durable à Beijing, la conférence sur les océans à Lisbonne, la conférence sur la biodiversité à Kunming et le sommet sur la nature à New York. N'ayons pas peur d'être ambitieux, n'ayons pas peur d'accentuer la pression et surtout n'ayons pas peur de sans cesse rappeler la vérité et la réalité de la situation. Adressons aux dirigeants politiques et aux acteurs des marchés le message suivant. La transition vers une économie verte aboutira à de meilleures conditions de vie, à de meilleurs emplois, à une meilleure santé, à une meilleure sécurité alimentaire, à
and greater equality, as well as sustainable growth. If we move together, nobody will be left behind.
Science tells us that our current path, we face at least 3 degrees Celsius of global heating by the end of the century. I will not be there. My granddaughters will, and your grandchildren too. I refuse to be an accomplice in the destruction of their own and only home. I will not be a silent witness to the crime of dooming our present and destroying their right to a sustainable future. It is my obligation, our obligation, to do everything to stop the climate crisis before it stops us. Time is running out, but it's not too late. So let us heed the calls of wise leaders, religious, business, and especially young people who are taking to the streets to demand that we change our relationship with nature now. Let us lace up our running shoes and win the climate race for us all. Thank you.
There's no planet B, so we have to make our difference now.
This is the moment and the movement of our lifetime. Do you feel it?
We need to take part in this conversation right now.
We heard from youth yesterday all around the world, and today we're getting into action. We're getting into solutions.
The project I'm presenting to you today works with biology as a storage device.
We are building a climate solution.
The one-stop solution for farmers.
What the youth and grassroots movements are doing is absolutely essential.
We have had enough of talking. There's no more time to talk.
Listen to the science.
We have to keep doing this until the leaders of the world start actually making changes. This is an emergency and our lives are at risk. How many children will it take for adults to listen to scientists?
Well, so that was the introductory speech given by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, after which they played a particular an audiovisual, and now we're going back to the summit.
Here we go. As you can see from the film, it is indeed young people demanding a response for climate change around the world. And this past weekend, the youth had an opportunity to speak with the Secretary General. The SG now has the opportunity to showcase their views on the topic here with us. And I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Paloma Costa in the center. Anurag Saha Roy and Greta Thunberg. Paloma, let me begin with you. You're a lawyer who leads youth activists and climate activists in Brazil, many of whom are on the front lines of this climate emergency. Why is this issue so urgent to you, and what is your ask of world leaders?
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for getting all of us here together. Yes, my name is Paloma Costa, and I am from Brazil. I am a social environmentalist defender, a bicycle activist, a climate educator, and a youth mobilizer. I have witnessed how indigenous, traditional communities, and other minority groups are being impacted by the climate crisis. You know, back in Brazil, a great indigenous leader recently said that indigenous people have been resisting since the beginning. What about us? Are we going to be able to resist? Well, youth are mobilized. We are not going to work with industries that deforestate. We are not going to be silent. We have already changed our habits, and you are not following us. Indigenous people have all of this knowledge and connection with our earth, and we still fail to listen to them. But they unite themselves to protect their territory. Why can't we do the same to protect our home? In the past few weeks, the world watched the Amazon fires with horror. I saw the whole world praying for our forests and our indigenous people fighting for survival. We don't need praying, we need acting. And the response we've seen is not enough. So I ask myself, do we need to see the Amazon burn to start doing something? I don't think so. Since my first climate strike with Greta here at COP24, 500 million trees have been destroyed in the Amazon. And people still come to me and ask if I am afraid to defend our forests. Well, as environmental defenders are in great risk, I would like to say that I am not afraid. I am afraid of dying by the climate crisis. We are living through a climate emergency, and it is affecting our food security, our health, our lives. And we have the solutions for both resiliency and mitigation. We live now in a world divided. While we have here the greatest brands, there are still people outside here and inside here as well asking themselves if the climate crisis is real or not. Well, it is. The Secretary General, he challenged the whole world. And I've been working closely with the UN to help build the Youth Climate Summit last Saturday with the Youth Working Group. I know everyone here is ready. I know that. Will you stop the talk so we can turn solutions into actionable commitments? Or should we wait until next year when we gather here together again? Well, if I want to ask something from our leaders, I will probably say that I want all nations to declare a climate emergency. So this will start being the #1 agenda for all leaders. My demand here is not a mere symbolic declaration, but a genuine commitment to the environment and to regional and traditional people who have protected the environment for centuries and are still being oppressed. I will keep educating youth, defending human and environmental rights, listening to my fellow youth and indigenous people here, to build the climate agenda in Brazil with no excuses. So I don't want to hear excuses here. Now it's your turn to make history and take urgent action to guarantee a safe future for all of us. Let's do this together. We are here now. It's our time. Thank you.
Thank you, Paloma. Anurag, at the Youth Climate Summit on Saturday, you were selected as the winner of the Young Entrepreneurs Competition. Congratulations. Can you tell us more about what you're doing as an innovator to combat the climate crisis? And what do you think world leaders can do to support young entrepreneurs like yourself?
Hello, I'm Anurag, originally from India, and an entrepreneur currently based out of Singapore. And thank you for having me here today. Thank you for turning up here today. Like Paloma just said, it is true that we are in a climate emergency, and we, the youth, we are caught in the middle. But fortunately for us, the youth are also the ones who are building the solutions to a lot of the climate change problems. Following a call by the SG's Office of Youth Envoy and the Office of Information and Communications Technology, during this last summer, my team and I, we worked on building a platform that allows farmers in remote communities of Africa who do not have a smartphone or who do not have internet to access high-quality weather updates. They need this because their economy is based on agriculture, and without these updates, this information, they can no longer survive because climate change has put them in a position where their agriculture is completely affected. Now, entrepreneurship and technological innovation, these are going to be the two major pillars if we are to build climate-resilient systems, if we are to fight climate change without relying solely on government policy. Which is why it is important that the governments involve and incentivize the youth. And they bring out the innovators, they bring out the entrepreneurs, and we do the best that we can to bridge the digital divide. Like we already know, the technology is on the side of the youth, but not everybody has access to it. And the ones who don't have access to it are the ones most affected by climate change, the ones most vulnerable to the world. Now, my message to the leaders out here today, my message as a young entrepreneur, is that we are expecting support. We have had enough of action plans, enough of policies, enough of statements, commitments. What we need right now is we need active support. And by active support, what we mean is that we entrepreneurs, when we start a company, we need tax breaks. We need you to support us by streamlining processes. Starting a business is so difficult right now. Why? We need ease of doing business. We need startup grants. And this is what the youth are expecting. These young people, they're risking their careers, they're risking their stable jobs, all to build solutions that can save the planet Earth. And as the leaders of the world, the least that you guys can do is provide them with a conducive platform, a platform that helps them scale their solutions. And I don't think there's a lot to ask, right? That's the least that you can do. And when we are here today to support the youth and innovation and entrepreneurship. So let's come together and ensure that we do all that we can to support these young kids, I'm one of them, to build solutions that can save the earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anurag. Greta, your first climate strike was a lonely event a little over a year ago. And in the intervening time, you have sparked the interest of millions, literally, of children around the globe, demanding action for climate change. What's your message to world leaders today?
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. But no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degrees of global temperature rise, the best odds given by the IPCC, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back on January 1st, 2018. Today, that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank our three distinguished guests of this morning very much for their very eloquent testimony, and to say that what is amazing in today's youth movement is not only that they are leading the gaining of conscience, the raising of awareness, making sure that the whole world becomes committed to climate action, but that they are also on the ground working to provide solutions. And we heard testimonies that are very important about what young people are doing to do what needs to be done in order for climate action to be rooted in the action across the world. And so I believe it's the duty of all decision makers in the world not only to listen to the voice of young people and to do what they ask us to do, but also to support them in their own action for climate action around the world. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary General, and for your powerful remarks. Thank you, Anurag, and Paloma, and Greta. Thank you so much. And now I'd like you to watch a personal message by His Holiness Pope Francis.
La cumbre sobre la acción climática.
The summit on the UN Climate Action Summit of 2019. Greetings. I would like to thank the United Nations Secretary General
De este encuentro, así como por haber atraído la atención de los jefes de Estado y de Gobierno y de toda la
and government and of the international community and world public opinion to one of the most serious and worrying phenomena of our time: climate change. This is one of the principal challenges we have to face. To do so, humanity is called upon to cultivate three great moral qualities: honesty, responsibility, and courage. With the Paris Agreement of 12 December 2015, the international community became aware of the urgency and need for a collective response to help build our common home. However, 4 years after that historic agreement, we can see that the commitments made by states are still very weak. Indeed, they are far from achieving the objectives set. Along with so many initiatives, not only by governments, but by civil society as a whole, it is necessary to ask whether there is a real political will to allocate greater human, financial, and technological resources to mitigate the negative effects of climate change and to help the poorest and most vulnerable populations who suffer the most. While the solution is not good and the planet is suffering, the window of opportunity is still open.
So we've been listening to the beginning of the Climate Action Summit in New York, and we've first listened to the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, who, you know, in his own eloquent way, he said that nature strikes back with a fury. In fact, the destruction that we are seeing is not just destruction, it's apocalyptic, which means that it's like the end times. And no negotiation we can make no negotiation with nature. We are here for action. This is an action summit. There's no talking. And we have tools and technologies on our side. So technology is on our side and we have tools. And listen to what the next generation says. They say that all nations should declare climate as an emergency. That's what Anurag gives us a solution. He says farmers need high access to updates. Technology is on our side. The youth is providing that. They need tax breaks. They need some environment in which to function. And finally, Greta spoke from the heart. She said that we'll be watching you. She told the leaders, we'll be watching you. We are in the midst of mass extinction, is what she said. And then the Pope was speaking when we got cut off, and he said that there is just 3 moral responsibilities upon every individual in the world. One is honesty, the other is responsibility, and the third is courage if we have to act against climate change.
जी मार्क, और इस समय हमारे संवाददाता अरुण इस समय न्यूयॉर्क में संयुक्त राष्ट्र में जहां ये सम्मेलन हो रहा है वहीं मौजूद हैं। अरुण, आप ही से जानना चाहेंगे, संयुक्त राष्ट्र महासचिव एंटोनियो गुतरेस ने बहुत साफ कहा कि हमारी पीढ़ी अपनी जिम्मेदारी निभाने में विफल रही है, और इस मंच पे हमने 2 पीढ़ियों को देखा और अभी की जो जनरेशन है उसका ये कहना है कि आज की तारीख में जलवायु परिवर्तन और उससे जुड़े खतरों को प्राथमिकता, इमरजेंसी, आपातकाल के तौर पर तमाम देशों को लेना चाहिए। किस तरह से आपको लगता है कि इन दोनों के बीच जो संवाद हुआ, जो तमाम विषय रखे गए हैं, उसको कैसे देखते हैं आप?
देखिए, बड़ा ही महत्वपूर्ण यहाँ पर इसलिए क्योंकि एक तरह से द्वंद्व चल रहा है। द्वंद्व इस बात का चल रहा है कि कैसे विकास के साथ में आप क्लाइमेट एक्शन पर आ सके, क्लाइमेट चेंज को रोक सके। ग्रेटा थनबर्ग जो स्वीडिश एक एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट है, टीनेजर है, उन्होंने क्या बेबाकी से अपनी बात को रखा इन बड़े बड़े तमाम देशों के साथ में। उन्होंने कहा कि आपकी हिम्मत कैसे हुई कि अगर आप ये सोच भी सकते हैं 50% तक अपने जो कार्बन फुटप्रिंट को कम कर सकते हैं। मुझे मेरा बचपन चाहिए, मुझे वो समय मेरा चाहिए कि मैं इस क्लाइमेट की गोद के अंदर, एनवायरमेंट की गोद में अकेले ले सकूं। ये आपने सबने बर्बाद कर दिया है और वो फ्यूचर जनरेशंस के लिए मांग कर रही है। ग्रेटा थनबर्ग वो एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट स्टूडेंट की जो कि हर मंच पर एनवायरमेंट को लेकर के बेबाकी से अपनी बात रखती है। तो आज यहाँ जो द्वंद्व चल रहा है कि डेवलपमेंट वर्सेस एनवायरमेंट, किसको चुनना है? अगर हमें अपनी पीढ़ी को देखना है कल आते हुए, तो जरूरी है कि कैसे हम क्लाइमेट चेंज को लगाम लगा सकें। जब पोप फ्रांसिस ने अपना मैसेज दिया है, जो पोप ने अपना मैसेज दिया है, साथ ही साथ एंटोनियो गुटेरेस ने अपना मैसेज दिया है, अपनी बात रखी और साफ तौर पर कहा है कि ये जो पूरे एनवायरमेंट को लेकर के आज हमें मंथन करना पड़ता है, क्लाइमेट चेंज हमारे एक तरह से हाथ से अब निकलता चला जा रहा है, तो इसके जिम्मेदार हम लोग खुद ही हैं। हमें खुद को ही अब प्रयास करना होगा कि डेवलपमेंट की राह में ऐसे विकल्प निकाले जो कि क्लाइमेट के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज ना करे। तो ये बड़ी बात अभी तक निकल करके आई है। आप ये देखिए कि तमाम एक टीनेजर ग्रेटा थनबर्ग जो क्या मौजूद है, साथ साथ एंटोनियो गुटेरेस वो अपनी बात को रखते हैं, अनुराग इंडियन साइड से अपनी बात को रखते हैं। तो बड़ी बेहतरीन तरीके से बात बताएंगे कैसे हम टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करें और ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल करें जो एनवायरमेंट को कहीं ना कहीं हानि ना पहुंचा सके। तो अब जब कि हमने भारत के परिप्रेक्ष्य में अगर इसको समझने की कोशिश करें तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी पिछले 4 साल से उसी एक्शन के साथ वो काम कर रहे हैं। आप इस बात को इस तरह से समझिए, कार्बन फुटप्रिंट को जब कम करने की बात आती है, इंडिया ऑलरेडी एक लीडिंग रोल देता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है। ये प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ही थे जिन्होंने सबसे पहले इस बात को रखा कि हमें इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस बनाना है ताकि हम कोल डिपेंडेंसी के ऊपर, जो हमारी कोल पर डिपेंडेंसी है, उसको कम कर सकें। तो 175 गीगावाट की जो बात कही जा रही है प्रधानमंत्री ऑलरेडी रख चुके हैं। तो अभी कुछ ही देर के अंदर थर्ड स्पीकर होंगे मार्क और ऋतु, जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपना वक्तव्य रखेंगे। न्यूजीलैंड, मार्शल आइलैंड्स, ये 2 देश बोलेंगे और फिर भारत की बारी होगी जब भारत अपना एक विजन पेश करेगा।
जी अरुण, बिल्कुल अरुण, और भारत ने हमेशा से पर्यावरण और विकास में जो संतुलन कायम किया है, इसी संतुलन के तमाम उदाहरणों को लेकर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी इस मंच से अभी कुछ ही देर में संबोधित करेंगे।
Right, and we turn to our guests in the studio once again. We have, let me reintroduce them to you. We've had some sort of a break in between before we've heard them speak. So we have Hem Pandey, who is the former Special Secretary from the Ministry of Environment and Forests. He served as a former Special Secretary in the Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change. And Yogendra Kumar is a former senior diplomat who is well versed with climate change negotiations. Let's start with you, Mr. Pandey. You heard the remarks of the next generation. How do you look at them?
Well, those remarks have not only to be heard, have to be acted upon, you know, and I liked what Greta said, she's watching. the whole world is watching. See, one thing, climate change is reversible, you know, but in order to make it reversible, we have to save life on Earth. You know, the way we are losing a species, the way we are losing our forest cover globally, I think it's a high time, you know. Well, we had you know, in 100 years, last 100 years, the population of the world has increased 4 times. You know, so where are we going? So we are consuming more, we are throwing more. You know, we are not reducing our consumption. 20% consume 80% of the resources. So, you know, the children are watching us. I think we have to, there's a high time we change our lifestyle. We means the globally everyone, particularly those who have lot of it, who consume, you know, as was discussed here. US consumption is 5 times than an average person globally, I think, and US is not onto it. So political message has to be there. US has to be part of the climate change. They have to lead. India is fine. I mean, we are doing our bit. We will do more. But, you know, ultimately all countries, major countries, particularly US and China, they will have to pull up their socks. Business as usual will not help us.
मिस्टर कुमार, शुरुआती जो हमने देखा संवाद एंटोनियो गुटेरेस और उन तीनों ही इस जनरेशन के उन तीनों प्रतिनिधियों ने भी, क्या आपको लगता है कि जो मकसद इस पूरे सम्मेलन का, इस समिट का रखा गया है कि पिछली जो पीढ़ी रही है उसने बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं करा इस पूरे खतरे को देखते हुए भी, लेकिन आने वाली पीढ़ियों को अब इस पे काम करने की ज़रूरत है और सिर्फ बातचीत से काम नहीं चलेगा। ये बहुत साफ संकेत अभी तक का जो दिखाई दिया हमें संवाद, उसमें साफ दिखता है।
और देखिए, सबसे मेरे अनुसार सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि जो डेवलप्ड देश हैं उनका इस मामले में क्या रवैया है। सबसे बड़ी बात यह है क्योंकि भारतवर्ष का जो भी कार्बन एमिशन हो रहा है इस रेट पे अगर चलता भी रहे तभी भी इसके वजह से जो है क्लाइमेट में इतना फ़र्क नहीं पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जो मेजर एमिटर्स जो हैं USA हैं, चाइना है, ये जो हैं जब तक ये अपने इकोनॉमिक बेसिस को, इकोनॉमिक ढांचे को जब तक नहीं बदलेंगे तब तक जो है मैं समझता हूँ कि हम लोग जो हैं भारतवर्ष में खाली यही कर सकते हैं कि इसका जो नेगेटिव इफेक्ट है अपने को किसी हद तक उसको शील्ड कर सकें। तो इसमें जो सबसे बड़ी बात यह है जो मैंने इसमें देखा कि कई ऐसे मामले हैं, जैसे आपको उदाहरण देता हूं कि सेक्रेटरी जनरल ने बात की कि कार्बन कोल बेस्ड जो है एनर्जी सोर्स, इसको बंद कर देना चाहिए। भारतवर्ष के लिए मुश्किल है क्योंकि बल्कि सबसे ज़्यादा कोल का कंजम्पशन आजकल चीन कर रहा है, बल्कि जर्मनी ने भी कोल का कंजम्पशन शुरू कर दिया है। अब प्रश्न ये है कि टेक्नोलॉजी ऐसी है कि जैसे कोल पावर प्लांट्स हैं जैसे आजकल, उनको भी आप ऐसा एनर्जी एफिशिएंट बना सकते हैं, रेट्रोफिटिंग बोलते हैं उसको। रेट्रोफिटिंग के ज़रिए से आप जो है जो भी आपका जो कार्बन एमिशन हो रहा है उसको आप बहुत कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा जो है एक टेक्नोलॉजी है क्लीन कोल टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर एग्जांपल। ये हाई टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं, इसके लिए पैसा चाहिए। तो अगर आप बात करें कि किसी प्रकार से हमें क्लाइमेट चेंज, कार्बन एमिशन को जो है कम करना है, तो डेवलप कंट्रीज हैं जिनके पास टेक्नोलॉजी है, जिनके पास पैसा है, अगर पैसा लगाएंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली इसका प्रभाव तुरंत पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आप टेक्नोलॉजी नई इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे, उसकी इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी मॉडल आप देखेंगे कि किस हद तक वो, जैसे उदाहरण के लिए आप देखिए कि जैसे ऑटोमोबाइल्स हैं, अब हमने जो है हमारा एम्बिशियस प्लान है कि हम जो इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर व्हीकल शुरू करेंगे, इसका डिसरप्शन जो है इकोनॉमी के ऊपर, सोसाइटी के ऊपर क्या होगा, उसको भी तो मैनेज करना होगा, जैसे आजकल बात चल रही है। तो प्रश्न ये है कि जो ऑलरेडी इस्टेब्लिश टेक्नोलॉजीज़ हैं, जो कैपेसिटीज़ हैं, जो कि देश जिनकी इतनी क्षमता नहीं है, अगर उनको ये टेक्नोलॉजी दी जाए और उनको फंडिंग सपोर्ट दिया जाए तो काफ़ी हद तक ये मामले जो हैं इनको देखा जा सकता है। तो सबसे बड़ा जो प्रश्न मेरे दिमाग में ये आया है कि जब तक कि डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज़ अपना रवैया नहीं बदलेंगे तब तक मैं नहीं समझता कि उसमें तो खाली हमारा तो एक होल्डिंग एक्शन टाइप का है कि भाई लोगों में जैसे जागरूकता आएगी, जब वो समझेंगे, जैसे यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में भी वार्निंग जो है, अलार्म्स बेल शुरू हो गई हैं। जैसे प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप का एक विचार है, लेकिन जो उनके जो गवर्नर्स हैं, प्रोविंशियल गवर्नर्स जो हैं, स्टेट गवर्नर्स, वो उनको अपोज कर रहे हैं, कांग्रेस उनको अपोज कर रही है। तो ये जो है, जब तक वहाँ पे एक प्रकार से प्रेशर नहीं बनेगा, जैसे यंग जनरेशन ने जैसे बात की, तो ये प्रेशर जिसका फर्क पड़ेगा।
एम्बेसडर कुमार जी, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अब अपना संबोधन शुरू करने जा रहे हैं।
नमस्ते।
Good morning.
Excellencies.
Excellencies.
मैं ग्लोबल क्लाइमेट समिट के आयोजन के लिए
I thank
UN
Secretary General for organizing the Global Climate Action Summit.
पिछले वर्ष चैंपियन ऑफ द अर्थ अवार्ड मिलने के बाद UN में मेरा ये पहला संबोधन है, और ये भी सुखद संयोग है कि न्यूयॉर्क दौरे में मेरी पहली सभा क्लाइमेट विषय पर हो रही है। एक्सेलेंसीज, क्लाइमेट चेंज को लेकर दुनिया भर में अनेक प्रयास हो रहे हैं, लेकिन हमें यह बात स्वीकारनी होगी कि इस गंभीर चुनौती का मुकाबला करने के लिए उतना नहीं किया जा रहा है जितना कि होना बहुत अनिवार्य है। आज जरूरत है एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव अप्रोच की, जिसमें एजुकेशन, वैल्यूज और लाइफस्टाइल से लेकर डेवलपमेंट फिलॉसफी भी शामिल हो। आज जरूरत है बिहेवियरल चेंज के लिए एक विश्वव्यापी जन आंदोलन खड़ा करने की। प्रकृति का सम्मान और नेचुरल रिसोर्स का संरक्षण, ये हमारी परंपरा और वर्तमान प्रयासों का हिस्सा रहा है। नीड नॉट ग्रीड हैज बीन अवर गाइडिंग प्रिंसिपल, और इसलिए आज भारत इस विषय पर सिर्फ बात करने नहीं बल्कि एक व्यवहारिक सोच और रोड मैप के साथ आया है। We believe that an ounce of practice is worth more than a ton of preaching. हम भारत में के फ्यूल मिक्स में नॉन फॉसिल फ्यूल की हिस्सेदारी बढ़ा रहे हैं। हम 2022 तक रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में अपनी कैपेसिटी को 175 गीगावाट तक ले जा रहे हैं, और आगे हम इसे 450 गीगावाट तक ले जाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। हम अपने परिवहन क्षेत्र में ई मोबिलिटी को प्रोत्साहन दे रहे हैं। हम पेट्रोल और डीजल में बायोफ्यूल की मिक्सिंग की बड़ी मात्रा में बढ़ोतरी कर रहे हैं। हमने 150 मिलियन परिवारों को क्लीन कुकिंग गैस कनेक्शन दिए हैं। हमने वाटर कंजर्वेशन, रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग और वाटर रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट के लिए मिशन जल जीवन शुरू किया है, और अगले कुछ वर्षों में इस पर लगभग $50 बिलियन का खर्च करने की हमारी योजना है। एक्सेलेंसीज, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंच की बात करें तो लगभग 80 देश हमारी इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस की पहल के साथ जुड़ चुके हैं। मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि भारत और स्वीडन अन्य पार्टनर्स के साथ मिलकर इंडस्ट्री ट्रांजिशन ट्रैक के लीडरशिप ग्रुप का लॉन्च कर रहे हैं। यह पहल सरकारों और निजी क्षेत्र को साथ लेकर इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए लो कार्बन पाथवेज बनाने में अहम भूमिका अदा करेगी। वैश्विक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नेचुरल डिजास्टर्स का सामना कर सके, इसके लिए भारत कोएलिशन फॉर डिजास्टर रेजिस्टेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की शुरुआत कर रहा है। मैं सभी मेंबर स्टेट्स को इससे जुड़ने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। इस साल भारत के स्वतंत्रता दिवस 15 अगस्त को हमने सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक से मुक्ति के लिए जन आंदोलन का आह्वान किया है। मैं आशा करता हूं कि इससे वैश्विक स्तर पर सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक के खिलाफ जागरूकता और बढ़ेगी। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे आपको बताते हुए प्रसन्नता है कि यूएन की इस इमारत में कल हम भारत द्वारा लगाए गए सोलर पैनल्स का उद्घाटन करेंगे। द टाइम फॉर टॉकिंग इज ओवर। द वर्ल्ड नीड्स टू एक्ट नाउ। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would now invite to the stage Her Excellency Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany.
और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने अपने संबोधन में बहुत साफ कहा और ये भी उन्होंने तमाम वो एक तरह से लक्ष्य गिनाए हैं जिन पर भारत काम कर रहा है, जो जलवायु परिवर्तन के लिए जो खतरे हैं उनसे निपटने के लिए। साथ ही साथ उन्होंने ये भी कहा, 2 बार उन्होंने दोहराया कि अब सिर्फ बातचीत का वक्त नहीं है, एक्शन का वक्त है। और यही उन्होंने अपने पूरे संबोधन में जिस तरह से उन्होंने कहा कि एक पूरा रोड मैप उन्होंने रखा है कि भारत किस तरह से आगे बढ़ रहा है। 175 गीगावाट का जो लक्ष्य 2022 तक का है, उससे आगे बढ़ते हुए उन्होंने 450 गीगावाट का भारत का लक्ष्य रखा है। यानी कि उन्होंने इस तस्वीर बहुत साफ पेश की है जलवायु परिवर्तन के खिलाफ लगातार काम करने के लिए भारत किस तरह से अग्रसर है। हमारे साथ 2 मेहमान स्टूडियो में मौजूद हैं। सबसे पहले एम्बेसडर, आप ही से जानना चाहेंगे संबोधन पर आपकी टिप्पणी।
और देखिए, जैसा कि यंगर जनरेशन जिस प्रकार से अपना विचार रखे, तो ये बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि प्रधानमंत्री ने भी अपना बड़े संक्षिप्त में और बड़े क्रिस्प लैंग्वेज में एक्शन ओरिएंटेड उन्होंने बात गिनाई। तो ये जो है, और वाकई जो उन्होंने बताया है वो एक प्रकार से क्रांतिकारी उसका प्रभाव पड़ेगा भारतवर्ष के ऊपर। जैसे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के बारे में बात की, बायोफ्यूल के बारे में बात की, और जो है रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी का तो जिक्र हो ही गया, वाटर कंजर्वेशन की बात की, जो सबसे आजकल सबसे क्रिटिकल हमारे लिए मामला है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन जो उन्होंने बात की। तो ये सब जो है ये वाकई बहुत ही क्रांतिकारी किस्म का जो है उनका मतलब एक प्रोग्राम है भारतवर्ष का। और मैं समझता हूँ कि जैसे उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल ग्लोबल सोलर अलायंस की बात की, इस प्रकार से भारतवर्ष जो है एक इस परिस्थिति में है कि वो जो है एक किस्म से एक ग्लोबल लेवल पे एक लीडरशिप का रोल करे। और इसमें जो है साउथ साउथ डायलॉग जो हमारे जैसे और जो विकासशील देश हैं उनको किस प्रकार से जो है हम लोग कोऑपरेशन करके, उनका भी जो एक्सपीरियंस है उसको भी लेकर के कैसे कोऑपरेशन किया जाए, ताकि जो है चाहे कृषि ही ले लें आप, या इंडस्ट्री ले लें, या सर्विसेज सेक्टर ले लें, जहाँ पर कि एनवायरमेंटली सस्टेनेबल जो मतलब कोऑपरेशन है, जिससे कि आम जनता को और जो है मतलब आप समझें कि जो एक आप समझेंगे पुअर सेक्शन सोसाइटी है, उनको इसका न केवल उसका लाभ हो बल्कि उनके अंदर और जागरूकता आए कि जो क्लाइमेट चेंज है, इस एक छोटे छोटे कदम अगर लें लेकिन एक व्यापक स्तर पर लें तो उसका प्रभाव जो है बहुत अच्छा पड़ेगा।
साथ ही साथ उन्होंने जो एक नेतृत्व क्षमता होती है, सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक की भी बात की है। इस मंच से ये भी दिखता है स्वच्छ भारत जैसे अभियान को और तमाम इस तरह के अभियान जिसमें जन भागीदारी की ज़रूरत होती है, उसको कैसे सफल बनाया है। वो दिखाता है कि जो नेतृत्व नरेंद्र मोदी का रहा है उसमें लोगों का समर्थन रहा है, विश्वास रहा है, जिसका असर दिखाई देता है।
देखिए साहब, जाहिर है कि एक भारतवर्ष को प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लीडरशिप में इसका अनुभव ऑलरेडी हो चुका है। जैसे उन्होंने जिक्र किया क्लीन गैस का, फिर जैसे आपको एलईडी बल्ब जो हैं वो पूरे देश में उन्होंने जो लगवाए हैं। तो इस प्रकार के जो एक मैस स्केल पे जो है जिसमें पब्लिक का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, उसका एक्सपीरियंस है, और इस एक्सपीरियंस को और क्षेत्र में अगर लगाया जाए तो इसका ज़रूर मतलब न केवल भारतवर्ष में बल्कि और जगह प्रभाव पड़ेगा। क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी बात ये क्लाइमेट चेंज को मीट करने के लिए एक ग्रास रूट्स लेवल पे एक मोबिलाइजेशन जो है, संगठन जो है, उसकी लीडरशिप जो है, उसका जो है रिसोर्सिंग जो है करना है, उसका स्किल का उसका जो डेवलपमेंट करना है, ये बहुत ही ज़रूरी है।
So Mr. Pandey, the Prime Minister very clearly quoting Mahatma Gandhi also need not greed is our guiding principle. When we look at, you know, the formidable task he set out now, 450 gigawatts of renewable, 175 is not enough. We are looking at 450 now. That is a huge jump, isn't it? And that is a message that comes out from his speech.
In fact, it's going to be more. As I said, by 2050, we need 2,300 gigawatt of energy, you know, and 40% of that we have said that we'll achieve by non-renewable sources, you know, renewable sources, non-fossil fuel sources. Yes. So that makes around 900 gigawatt, and we are around, you know, 75 today. But, you know, Prime Minister announcing at UN that we will do it, and I guess we will do it. India is already a place where the cost of, you know, per megawatt of solar energy is the cheapest. You know, and once we get into a mission mode, I think it's doable. It's doable, right. But at the same time challenging. The way the technologies are changing, the technology is changing. I think either we must innovate or we must. The global technologies should be made available to countries like ours, where the target is. You know, we are going to grow.
I want to ask you about that. You know, this has been the plan right from the beginning, that where the technologies are available, they should be made available to the other developing countries. Why is this not happening? That's the biggest question, isn't it? And I think that's the question that the young people are also asking.
Yes, in fact, today the PM's speech was, you know, it was not talk. It was walk the talk. You know, you do it. I mean, it's technology has to be made available. The climate, you know, climate change negotiations all along 24 and 25th is on the anvil. Mitigation, adaptation, technology, and finance. These are the four pillars. And first two, mitigation, you remove your footprints. For us, our footprints are hardly there. You know, even in the single-use plastic, Indians are using 11 kgs per annum, whereas US uses 100 plus kgs per annum. So our footprint is hardly there. You know, so far as plastic, single-use plastic itself is concerned, and already we have taken up people's movement for this, to reduce, to refuse, to recycle, and to reuse. You know, these are the initiatives that India is taking, but technology and finance has to be made available. Okay. Technology changes rapidly. We talked about coal, clean coal technologies, and you know, 60% of our energy needs will still come from fossil fuel sources, even if we do our best in you know, non-fossil fuel sources. Sure. So technology has to help us.
Ambassador Kumar, you know, the Prime Minister also spoke about the Jal Jeevan mission for water harvesting, for all the other aspects of it, you know, with the rivers, making water available to each household. All these are our plans. $50 billion going to be invested in this project. How important is this in the overall scheme of you know, climate mitigation or arresting climate change?
I think it's very important because, as we know, in fact, we have some figures here that there is this World Resources Institute actually has said that the rate at which the groundwater is being depleted in India, it will not be very far in the future when we'll have a situation of what's called the day zero condition, which means it'll completely run out of groundwater. So the point actually here is that it is not just the prosperity, but it can lead to a disaster which impacts negatively on our ability, our institutional capacity to react and to cope with these disasters. Okay. So this is extremely critical, and here not only is the government required to actually move in at its own level, but you also require mass ground level, grassroots level mobilization, because conservation of water, what habits we have about using water, yes, in the urban areas, the rural areas, all this require a certain degree of raising the awareness, the wider consciousness of the people, and that is where it actually requires the effort at both ends, and fortunately we are in a position to actually
So
respond
I
to that.
raised these two targets, I mean the 450 gigawatts for renewable, also the Jal Jeevan mission, and the Prime Minister at the beginning of his speech spoke of a comprehensive approach. Now this is basically with the help of the rest of the world as well. A comprehensive approach is not just for our country, it's for everybody. How do you think, you know, also he spoke about the Coalition for Disaster Resistance Infrastructure, and of course the International Solar Alliance is already in place. How much of a leadership role do you think India is playing in this goal towards bringing or arresting climate change? Yeah.
बिल्कुल, खासकर जब वो वैश्विक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की जब वो बात करते हैं और कोलिशन फॉर डिजास्टर रेजिलिएंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात कर रहे हैं, इसलिए भी कि जो चुनौतियां आप गिना रहे हैं लगातार कि टेक्नोलॉजी शेयर ना करने की चुनौती एक है, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के साथ, विकासशील देशों के साथ उसको साझा नहीं कर रही हैं। ऐसे में जलवायु परिवर्तन के जो खतरे हैं उनके जो परिणाम सामने आ रहे हैं लगातार और तमाम देशों के सामने आ रहे हैं, भारत ने भी देखे हैं और भी देशों में हम देख रहे हैं, क्या उनसे लड़ने के लिए जो एक फ्रेमवर्क, जो एक तैयारी होनी चाहिए, उसका नेतृत्व करते दिखाई दिए प्रधानमंत्री? आपने बहुत ही